common street lifting mistakes that beginners do and how to fix them. So the first mistake we have is training program slash style. A lot of people don't follow a program for enough time, which is bad. They're always looking for the best program, but the best program does not exist. The best program is the one that is adapted to you. So as a beginner, you may be confused what to do. A quick advice here: do whatever. Any plans, if you don't have a coach, any plans will work for you as a beginner. Don't stress a lot about it. Don't try to look for the best exercise, the best method. No, just follow a simple program and do it enough times so you can make decent progress. And then when you feel like you're getting stuck, you may want to be more specific with your needs, hire a coach, or study strength training more so you can coach yourself or something like that. So what to do? Access your situation, focus on frequency and volume, add minimal weight to the lift every week, avoid going to failure frequently. If you follow these things as a beginner in your program, you will make decent progress. Accessing your situation, meaning how many times a week you can train. What are your problems? Do you have an injury? All of these things are your situation and how you can program your training around that. Second thing, focus on frequency and volume. Yes, try to do your pull-ups, your dips, your squats, your muscle-ups as many times a week as possible. No, not as many times a week, at least 3 times a week. That's probably the most efficient way to get good at the movement. And as a beginner, you probably don't do a muscle up, so just focus on the big 3, and later on you'll start working on your muscle ups and implementing the muscle ups. So 3 times a week would be the best. Probably later on you can do 4 times, but it depends on the volume. Try to get the right volume week by week in your program so you don't overshoot or you don't burn out too quickly. Around 10 sets a week per movement is more than enough. If you, as a beginner, if you do 10 sets a week for each movement, you are doing great. And the loads will differ from training session to training session. I'd recommend you to start with 70% on your higher days, 70%, lower days, 40%, 50%, and on a moderate day, 60-65%, and start adding minimal weight to the lift every week. This is the simplest way for you to progress and avoid going to failure. This is why I said 70% of your loads is a good start. Okay, training style, this is another mistake. Treating street lifting like sets and reps of weighted calisthenics, trying to do as much reps as possible, or sets, going to failure, will not work well with street lifting. This method of going to failure, doing as many reps as possible, sets, is good for weighted calisthenics for you to get big, get hypertrophy, getting the resistance that you need for that specific sport, because there's resistance sets and rep sports with weight. This is a specific thing. For street lifting, you need another approach. The thing is, this may work as a beginner. Okay, you'll get stronger, more muscular, but later on you have to be specific to make the best street lifting gains or get stronger at your 1 rep max. Using more a powerlifting approach is better for street lifting. This will allow you to set a better program. Yes, as a beginner, as I said, whatever you do, you'll get stronger. You can do sets and reps, and your 1 rep max on the pull-up deep will increase. But it will get to a point where you need another approach. You have to be more specific to make the progress that you want. I think most of street lifters started like this. They started with calisthenics and then they moved to sets and reps with weights. They made decent progress and then they moved to street lifting. So try to follow these rules: 10 sets a week, each movement 3 times a week, and you're doing great as a beginner. Okay. Second mistake, form technique. Form is crucial for a good performance, to have more advantage in the lift, avoid injuries, and have a competition standard. So, the better your technique, the better your performance will be. The better technique, the more advantage you'll have lifting a certain amount of weight. An example would be with the dips. The bodybuilding dips, you want to open your chest as much as possible. You want to stretch and do the dip. In street lifting, you want to do the opposite. You want to close your body and do the dip. This will allow you to carry more weight. If you do them both, you'll see that by doing this street lifting form, you will carry more weight. It will be easier to carry more weight, and also it's more safe for your chest. So having a good technique will allow you to carry more weight. Also avoid injuries, as I said. You will not overstretch this area and have a good competition standard. Yes, I think you should work most of the time with a competition standard. And I think there is two groups. Those who are just starting, their form is not dialed in, and those who train mostly with bad form or training form. And yes, correcting them can be easy. If you train with the training form, bad form, can be easy. You can do it in a couple of days, and you'll have a good technique. But there's one thing here. If you're not that conscious and you'll be training with bad form for a long period of time, your 1 rep max will not be the same as a good form. For example, you're training with a bad form on the pull-ups. You did 20 kgs for 2 reps with a lot of knee kick, a lot of hip movement, and you did 2 reps. And you're prepping for a competition, or you go a competition or a meet, and you can barely do 1 rep with the proper form. So this is something that you have to put in your head, that the bad form, training form, sometimes or most of the times will not translate very well to a competition standard form. Your strength will decrease a lot. And with pull-ups and dips, this is easy to correct. But with the muscle up, I think is a bit more tricky, because if you work on your muscle ups with the knee kick, with a lot of knee bend, with a lot of hip movement, this will be harder to fix later on, because muscle up is a very technical movement. And if you train with the wrong technique for long periods of time, you will have this technique, this bad technique, embedded in your body. It will be hard to change later on, or you can get confused with the muscle up. So with the muscle up, try to train with the best form always. So let me show you here examples of a good technique. So here, the first example, we have a muscle up. So we start the position, everything is straight, arms straight, body straight. And when you do the pull, you want your knees to be straight. You want your legs to be straight, and you don't want to overdo the movement here in the hips. A lot of people do is their hips go like this and their legs go like this, and this is a bad form. On the pull-ups, you want to have your arms straight always. Here, straight. You cannot be doing like this and then do this. You have to start always like this, in a dead hang, not in an active hang, okay? And your legs straight always. And when you do the pull, you want to maintain the straightness in your leg. You can have a minimal knee bend. That's not a big problem. But in a competition standard, this is what we have to do. Everything has to be straight. And then of course, your chin has to go over the bar. On the dips, legs straight, always. You start the movement, you go below 9 degrees, and your legs keep straight, always straight. You cannot move your legs a lot, and your hips cannot stay in this position. A lot of people, the hips stay here and their body does this. This is not a valid rep. Your hips need to go down, like here. His hips was here and he went down here. A lot of people do this, and even if you go below 9 degrees, if your hips stay here, it's not a valid rep. So these things you should pay attention in these things in your training. Then the last mistake, neglecting secondary movements. Secondary movements can be a game changer because they can address weak links, help you build more work capacity, which will make you able to handle more volume, have more resilience, break plateaus, recover from injuries. Yes, secondary movements can be very beneficial, but the thing is you have to pick the secondary movements that will help you with these things. You cannot copy other people. Of course, if you copy other people, you will get some benefits, you will make some progress, and mainly as a beginner, whatever you do, you will make progress. But you have to check what are your weak links. For example, your triceps are weak. So maybe doing some close grip bench to strengthen your triceps or some extra tricep work could be beneficial. Or in the pull-ups, you want to train in the hardest part, where it is here or here, where your lats here is in this tight position, the most contracted position. Probably do some lat prayers where you come here and you squeeze the lats. You're training in this harder part. Your squeezing can be helpful. You want to think about these little things. And of course, it builds you muscle, which makes you more resilient. Your tendons get stronger. It can help you recover from certain injury that you have, break plateaus. But secondary movements should be picked with intent. You want to pick the ones that work best for you and aligns with your goals. This is something that requires experience to see what do you lack, and as a beginner you may not see these things. So getting a coach could be beneficial, or try to study a lot of the mechanics, strength training. That could help you a lot. So that was it for this video. Hope it was not confused. I'll link here 2 videos that could be beneficial for you. So see you in the next one.